I'm back on the road. It's just one long rehearsal for opening iHeartRadio's Christmas Eve special. Let's be real for a sec. I was homeless, and now I'm making my debut on national TV. Thanks to you guys.
You are the real deal, Gail Travers. If it doesn't happen, someone somewhere will give you the chance you deserve.
So why can't it be me?
Hey. Are you okay? Are you okay?
I just killed a llama.
It's an alpaca.
Oh, he's alive. And he's up.
Welcome to Harmony Springs, Oklahoma.
I have to report to LA by the 24th.
What's so important in LA?
iHeartRadio.
Fancy.
How much is this gonna cost?
$2,600.
Show our new guest here some hospitality.
Do you have a phone I could borrow? Has anyone in this town ever heard of a smartphone?
There ain't no use for fancy around here.
Clearly. I have to get a job while you fix the bus. When you're done, I'll have $2,000 and be on my way. So what do you got in a town like this? A middle school? You better start talking.
Everyone, I'd like you to meet our new music teacher.
I think you are all mistaken.
The performance for the Christmas gala is in 2 weeks.
You prep these kids, and I'll cover the bus repairs.
You're my
I have to write my very own song for iHeartRadio, and I'm having a hard time.
Sometimes when things aren't working, you unplug for a bit.
I haven't been this unplugged since I was 8.
Tell you what, though, I'll let the unplug get a whole lot better.
I do too.
Cause you make the light shine.
Place your hands over your heart. This is where you sing from. Not your head or your lungs, your heart.
He's come up for air for the first time in years. And the only thing that changed is you.
The world needs to hear that voice of yours. You can't do that from here.
I always hoped that my singing would bring me to a home of my own.
And welcome back to yet another stocking stuffer where we are rounding the edge of the holiday season, but we are trying to cover all of our bases. So as you heard, this one, we are going to a different cable site. We're going to HBO Max. And when you go HBO Max, you can't just wander into that on your own. It is a dangerous place. I need a team. So on today's episode, it is very special. I am not alone. I don't have one guest. I have 3 guests, 3 incredibly special guest stars. And let me introduce them. First, from across state lines, I have New Jersey's own Liza and Mike Pielocik of DVD Deathmatch. Please say hello.
Hello!
Hi. Hello. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for putting yourselves through an hour and 50 minutes worth of a Christmas movie. Now, I did mention one other person, and there is one other person, not just on the line, but in the room next to me. Beside me, I have my partner in crime, the person who has had to deal with the debris of me watching all of these movies and taking furious notes and occasionally screaming and walking in and saying, "What's wrong?" and me saying, "I gotta rewind this and you have to watch it." It is the one and only, my love, my husband, Branan Whitehead.
Hello, everyone.
You are a trooper. You are a soldier. This has been your 8th year of being with me, I think, when I've done these.
Only the second time that I have joined you on the podcast,
Yes,
though.
yes.
So this is only the second time I've had to actually watch the entire movie.
Would you like to remind...
Do you watch a lot of them, or do you have to
Well,
watch
I mean,
a lot of them?
I filter in and out of the room as my lovely wife is
Sure.
watching them. So it's hard not to, absorb a little bit of it.
Right, some osmo.
If you were asking me what the last film was that I participated on this podcast, I don't know the episode number. I'm sorry. I know some people who have podcasts like to tell everyone the episode number when they talk about something. I'm not suggesting that anyone on this podcast would do such a thing. But the show was Christmas at Dollywood.
Which sounds like it would be amazing.
Yeah, it does sound like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It wasn't. Dolly's in one scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She doesn't sing.
She doesn't
sing.
sing.
I don't even think they play Dolly Parton music in the whole thing.
They played her doing Hard Candy Christmas. And that's the only Dolly song we get.
Yeah.
She's in one scene. The leads have no chemistry.
No.
It is. Sure. It was not the worst punishment of a career woman I've seen in these films.
It was up there.
But it wasn't good.
It was tier 2, maybe. It definitely was probably the biggest test our marriage has ever undergone.
I would not agree with that.
Okay.
Oh, we're on different pages on what challenges.
We're on different pages. That's exactly what that is. We can talk about that later.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, maybe
that was could be a great movie. Christmas at Dollywood.
Yeah,
could have been. Could have been.
You would think.
And was
you
not.
said it, and I perked up, and then
yeah. No. Perk right on back down. Perk right on back down. If you want Dolly and Christmas, Netflix's Christmas on the Square, Dolly, which is a pure 100% musical with Christine Baranski. That is, I think that was 2 years ago. It is rather bananas. It is everything you want, and a career woman gets punished severely. So I highly recommend it, but it's singing the entire time. So there is good, there's hope out in the world. Some marriages, survive podcasting, like yours. Now, tell us quickly about DVD Deathmatch.
So basically, during the pandemic, we started a podcast just like everyone else. And what motivated us to do that is the fact that we have 1,321 DVDs, which is far too many. Far too many. More DVDs than anyone should ever have, really. So the premise of our podcast is we pick 2 of them at random every week, and we watch them, we pit them against each other, we chat about them, and then we decide which one we can get rid of.
I always say, in our 20s, we didn't do drugs or
party
yep.
or do a lot of traveling. We just spent money on DVDs. We were
you walked into a Blockbuster. It was 4 for $20, right?
Right, exactly. You're like, yeah, I'll pick up Michael Clayton and
the unrated version of Michael Clayton,
and whatever it is, and
Bring It On, In It to Win It.
Right, Bring It On, In It to Win It.
Yeah. 4 Bring It On movies on one DVD. What?
Right, exactly. So that's what we did with our money. Very cool. In that period where you're like, I have to build my library. And so we just have so many DVDs, and it is the time of maybe culling some physical media, but also bringing some, holding on to what you care about and all that stuff. So that's what our podcast is about. We pick 2 movies, we pit them against each other. We talk about movies. It's very fun. It
is a delight. We are both listeners, and we enjoy it thoroughly.
We've been guests on episode.
Have been guests.
I won't have the episode number in front of me, but I could.
I mean, you're fired.
So you have guests. We talked about Halloween, the Rob Zombie version,
and the remake
of Nightmare on Elm Street. I swear, I do like you guys. I really do. And yet, I just keep arranging podcasts that subject both of you and my husband as well to maybe less than ideal circumstances, or maybe not.
How we felt about Holiday Harmony.
I do not know how you felt about Holiday Harmony.
Oof or whatever.
well, let's see, because maybe you're going to add that DVD to your collection, and then you'll have to do another episode on it down the line.
Right.
Exactly.
So before we dive into Holiday Harmony, I would just like a little background on where you 2 stand on now, Holiday Harmony is a little bit, it is a pure Cozy Cardigan Christmas movie, but it's a little bit outside the realm because it's HBO, it's got a budget, it's got lighting, as you mentioned. But the whole idea of that, the Hallmark movies, the Lifetime movies, in general, what is your experience with these?
I have strangely very little experience with them because it just never... they never really hit with me. I don't know. I love the concept of them. I find it very interesting. This kind of how quickly can we pump out this holiday film in the middle of July and force these actors to just dance on the edge of heat stroke
but wearing scarves.
Right, exactly. And how many ridiculous, I love the trend on TikTok where people you do the thing where they're every Hallmark Christmas movie, and they talk about all the stereotypes. I love that, but I have not seen many. Although I did watch the Netflix Lindsay Lohan one.
Okay, Falling for Christmas.
I did. It was
Without me?
It was delightful.
And now your marriage faces its biggest challenge.
But I feel like I should watch more because they really seem like up my alley. Like I love terrible things. So.
You love Cameron Candace Burr or whatever her name is.
No, she's the
I'm
worst.
kidding.
Yeah. We do not support that for her in this house.
I don't have any experience with them. The fact that you said this one has a budget is hilarious to me.
It should be terrifying to you, but it absolutely is true.
Oh, believe me.
Right, of them, this is one of the higher production value ones, is what I'm saying. Cool. I don't have a ton of experience with them. No, I don't think I've ever... I have the same thing where I know of them.
Right.
I know that it stars Lacey Chabert.
Oh, yeah.
And she's a career woman, and she goes to her hometown, and there's, like, the gingerbread festival or whatever it is.
Pretty much.
And there's the mayor, and, you know, like, I know all that. But I don't think I've ever sat down and watched one. This is the closest I've gotten.
And this is an interesting one then as you're sort of ease into the genre.
Yeah.
Because it is... So the movie starts, and first we see that it's an hour 50 minutes, and I was about to scream.
Literally, that was the first thing I said. I was like, hour 50?
No, that is a crime. That is 100% illegal. I don't know how they... This is not going to last. HBO Max is going to pull this tomorrow with what they're doing now because they have broken law of Cozy Cardigan Christmas. You cannot do that. So there was that.
Man, it's been broken.
I tell you, then the movie starts and we're watching it and like, again, there's a lighting. There's music that isn't pure public domain. There is like an Instagram filter look to the whole thing. And I kind of start like, shaking my hand a little bit thinking, fuck, did I pick a real movie?
Yeah, it almost fools you.
It does. And it gets, maybe we were 20 minutes in when finally we're like, oh no, okay, we're good. We're good. It's just a stupid Christmas movie. We're okay. But I was concerned. Now, having said that, it's also like two other movies. Now, there's probably like many other movies, but were there two distinct movies, both of them which you haven't seen, but one of which you know of. One, let's say, was a big awards winner at Oscar ceremony a couple of years ago, and the other one,
Nomadland.
Okay, this movie is Nomadland as a Christmas movie.
Yes.
Plus,
yes, Nomadland. It's on my face.
Yes.
I wrote it down.
Damn straight.
It's like cute Nomadland. Exactly what you said.
With a dose of a movie from the
Hollywood School of Rock.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is School of Rock meets Nomadland, swathed in a plastic snowball.
Right. Yeah. I also wrote down Doc Hollywood, but I don't know if that's that. I don't know if anybody has ever has thought about the movie Doc Hollywood in 30 years. So
I saw Doc Hollywood in the theater on my first ever date.
Oh, nice. So how much of the movie did you see, if you catch my drift?
The whole thing.
So Holiday Harmony.
The like Instagram filter version, mason jar filter version of Nomadland is very apt.
Completely.
That's a very good.
Completely. This is directed by Sean Paul Piccinino. How do you say that name? It's a very Italian name with a lot of syllables. He was a stuntman turned director, so that's interesting, and it kind of makes you wonder why there aren't more stunts, because that could have been fun. One of the writers is, we will talk about shortly, because she is in the movie as well. Mm-hmm. And if we were to walk through the plot, Liza, Mike, can you kind of walk us through a little bit of what you thought this movie was about? You got our lead character, Gail. Tell me about Gail.
Gail
Travers.
Literally no one is named Gail, but apparently this woman is. And she is a singer, but not a songwriter, because she's got some trauma, you guys.
It's like the reverse of Coyote Ugly that way, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to make it big. And she lives in her beat up van, and she
hashtag van life.
Hashtag van life. And she is all up on the socials, big city girl with her phone, and then
she's an unhoused person / influencer
Yes.
/ songwriter.
Yeah.
The thing that we all know.
Yes.
Sorry.
And she her big shot happens to happen. She gets to be in I can't remember, what was the company?
iHeartRadio.
They never said it, so I forgetting.
Yeah. Was it Pepsi?
WKRP.
Yeah, iHeartRadio, which they say about 1,000 times.
Right.
So
and she goes like, iHeartRadio, the biggest company that we all love. Like, and I get it. They do control a lot of radio stations. Like, they are a big company, but like, it was so overt.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And so she's driving across the country to get to her big iHeartRadio gig, and she almost hits an alpaca.
As we do.
In the small town of Harmony Springs. I was like, what's it called? Harmony Springs, Oklahoma, where no one has a Southern accent.
Occasionally one or two people might if they choose to.
And, she learns to love. She learns to love.
Right, because she meets...
Take it away, yeah.
The alpaca belongs to Brooke Shields, who plays a woman named Van.
Yes, which is very confusing.
Right,
Yes.
who owns a van repair shop, a car repair shop. Her Van's son is
Peter Pan.
Yep, be Jeremy Sumpter, all grown up.
And he's like perpetually 5 o'clock shadow, perpetually top button undone on his flannel shirt. He's a mechanic. He's got
very clean hands for a mechanic, but yeah.
Very what?
Clean hands for a mechanic.
Yeah, very, very clean boy, I would say. And she falls in love with him. He falls in love with her. Then she also, like, this is what you were saying earlier, also gets hired to teach at the school. And then there's a bunch of kind of misfit kids that she whips into shape to do the big festival. The big, what is it? Like
the big gala of some kind?
Yeah, a gala. They kept calling it a gala, and I was like, what?
But it was also a competition?
Yeah.
It was also Glee meets School of Rock.
It was just extremely wonderful and Christmassy. And
was it though? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Right.
Oh, don't worry, we'll talk about that.
But and then they kind of have some misunderstandings. They delve into each other's trauma because they both have trauma, and then they fall in love and everything's fine. And then she kind of leaves Harmony to go to the iHeartRadio festival, where she learns that Hollywood is bad and having a career is bad.
Yeah. Well, they want to straighten her hair, which, come on.
Yeah. It's a bad wig.
It upset me, actually. It very much upset me.
I said to you, I was like, how much of this is she going to spend in this wig? Because it's not just like bad in the way it's supposed to be bad. It's also like tough to look at because it just like looks like a bad wig. And then she eventually comes back to Harmony because that's where authenticity lives.
That's where her home is.
Her home, yeah.
And then I think your favorite part was the happier part of that ending, right? Because she doesn't just come back to Harmony in order to teach the kids, although she gets to do that. She also still gets some kind of contract.
Well, because they secretly film her singing at the gala, which live streams on iHeartRadio. Right. And we don't and millions of people watch it.
Obviously. That's what you do on Christmas Eve.
And apparently that gets her a top 40 hit. But that's really all we find out, though, because we just see that framed and hanging on the wall at the end.
We get it 1 year later, and it looks as though, my interpretation was, she is living in Harmony with Peter Pan, and she is teaching, but she also has a recording studio and is recording in Harmony. You didn't get that? Didn't she had it looked like a studio, didn't it?
Yeah. It did, but I mean, they didn't talk about her still having a music career.
Oh,
and it's in the Dead Brothers room?
Yes,
in the Dead Brothers room,
in the Dead Brothers old studio. Right. So she's like,
like a studio, right? I can perform from here and never have to leave this town because it's kind of it's like that book Hex we read, where like you really can't leave the town. That's another thing about a lot of these movies is, the towns that hold you there, and like as if it's a good thing because you never want to leave. It's great. But of course, there's also something deeply disturbing about never leaving the town. So I figured she physically can't leave that town after she spends a certain amount of time there. That's what I thought. But then she's happy, it's all good. Yeah. Christmas.
It's the Truman Show or something.
Totally.
It's like,
yeah. So
Oh, no, go.
Oh, no, I was going to say, we can use this to kind of lead into the tropes of these holiday movies. And the first thing we typically have, most of the time it's a female, and it's our lead in need of a lesson.
Yes.
So Gail Travers, we know her name because the movie says it only, they do that thing where it's Gail Travers for most of the time anybody says her name. Now this, Annalise Saparo.
Yeah.
Not somebody I was familiar with, but I guess she was in West Side Story. Definitely a singer.
Yeah.
So
she sounds great. Like her voice is great.
Oh yeah. Clearly a singer. Very pretty. What did you think of Gail as a character? Did she have a lesson she needed to learn? Did she learn that lesson?
Can I address that?
Please.
This is something that really struck me, is because I know that I've listened to enough of your shows that I know that you always talk about the lead in need of a lesson. I actually did not feel that Gail had any lesson she needed to learn.
Mm-hmm.
From the beginning, Gail seemed to me to know her own mind, as my mother would say. She seemed to know exactly what she wanted out of life, and exactly what she wanted to get and how she was going to get it. And I didn't really see much need for a lesson to be learned there. She didn't seem miserable or unhappy. But of course, she didn't have a scruffy man to date. So.
Yeah, she seemed like she had it pretty figured out.
Right, exactly. And I think it's, strangely, mildly problematic to be like, oh, here's this girl, and she, her trauma is that she's a foster kid, and she's never really found home. So I guess you could sort of say that the lesson she could learn is, like, to find a home, but, like, she was doing fine, and chasing her dreams, and it's a weird moral or lesson to put on the end of this movie to be like, well, don't chase your dreams, just like find a cute boy in a small town.
Don't chase them all the way to California.
Right.
Like, you can chase them, but like at some point stop.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're still gonna get them anyway.
Right.
She gets everything.
Everything.
Doesn't give up anything.
Right,
Yeah.
but she also doesn't spend it's not like she spends any time like, maybe I can't have it all. Like, it's not like a thing where it's like, oh, I figured out how to have everything, and like not dedicate my entire life to like social media and this career, but have everything. Like, we don't explore that either. It's a weird one.
Yeah, there's a version of this movie, like if it wasn't this kind of movie, where maybe it is about her deciding, wait, I don't want to be famous. I like music, I like performing. I'm just as happy to perform in a bar and get tips as I would be. But to me, and maybe we read the ending differently. I took it as the fact that song still goes viral. That no, she gets everything. That she gets, jet flown back to Oklahoma, but her song is streamed. It's a huge hit. Like, oh no, but because she could have then just said, that's nice, but I'm not that Gail. I'm Miss Travers, the music teacher, Gail. So, now is there like a plot thread dangling? Now do I not know how this movie ended?
Yeah, right.
I think it felt that ending felt very like, oh, and it all worked out. And you're like, like the fact that she's still teaching in the town, and that there was just a framed photo or a poster on the wall that said top 40 hit or whatever, which is like how you couldn't. I've never heard of a person who's a school teacher. Like, Lady Gaga isn't also teaching, right?
Or is she? How do you know she spends her afternoons?
Exactly. Or like, wait, let me think of someone who's more current than Lady Gaga. Normani, is that someone?
I mean, no.
Doja Cat?
Okay.
You're just making things up now.
Yeah.
No, remember that was a Jeopardy answer the other day.
Liza, thank you. There we go.
You're welcome.
I'm very old. So yeah, I think like it just felt all tossed in, like, oh, she had to get it all.
Yep.
And it felt like they wanted to make a movie where she learned a lesson about how Hollywood is bad and small towns are great, but then she still got it all. But not everyone in Hollywood is bad. The iHeartRadio hosts are delightful.
They're wonderful.
They're wonderful people. They really are wonderful
people.
people.
At all.
Because definitely the villains didn't work directly for iHeartRadio. Like, they were brought in, I'm sure.
No, certainly.
Contractors. Yeah, they were
definitely.
1099s, like all the way.
Yeah.
So now number 2 kind of plays with both of those, because we have our setting, which is usually either a big bad city, a charming small town, or a magical winter wonderland. And here we get a taste of 2 of the 3, do we not?
Yeah. We definitely get a bad city and charming small town kind of proposed. I was hoping for a little bit more Magic Winter Wonderland, personally. But
no winter.
Not this
Shot
time.
in,
Not in this
California in May.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would kind of like to address a couple of things about that. One of which is I actually wrote down at
I'm
one
laughing
point.
at his notes.
I wrote down at one point, is it cold or not?
Yes.
Because I mean, I am used to these films where clearly it is July in Atlanta, and they're only pretending to be cold. But in this film, there were people in the same scene who did not seem to be in the same climate. Like there were a couple of lines about her being cold, or it's cold tonight. They even played a song that said it's cold outside, and I said, no, it's not. Because
why is Brooke Shields' husband wearing a Hawaiian tee?
Because Brooke Shields and Magnum DAD, her husband, are sitting there outside of their trailer. The trailer, which is never explained, by the way.
Well, because he's building them a house.
Yes, but why do they live in a trailer?
Because he's building them a house.
Because he's building them a house, so they live in a trailer?
Where Peter Pan makes some pancakes. Pancakes. Oh my god. I was like, wait, they also live in a trailer? Anyway.
Yeah, so I was a little puzzled by the fact that even in the same scene, people didn't seem to be in the same climate. I also actually started a list that I thought was going to get longer. And I headed the list, things that aren't possible in 2022, even in small towns. The first is no cell phone store. Okay, right. I grant you probably wouldn't have every carrier, but you're going to have a place you can buy a cell phone.
Not in Harmony Springs?
But apparently not in this town. There is no such thing as a fill-in sheriff. Sheriff is an elected position.
Right.
You might hire deputies, but no, you can't fill in as sheriff. You cannot simply walk into a school as a stranger and walk around.
Right, and teach children. You definitely
unquestioned, or be hired with no interview, no background check.
Well, she was on Instagram all the time. It's pretty easy to do like a background check.
No experience, for that, right? No nothing. Yeah, that was actually where that list ended, or maybe I just gave up. But
she's the lady in the van who sings pretty. What more background do you need?
What more background?
She has like 30,000 followers.
Come on. Leave alone in a room with our children.
Right. The last time I worked with kids in a school setting, and granted it was not in a small town, but this was a decade ago, and I had to get like FBI clearance. So
I mean, we'll get to it when we talk about the cloning children. But like, do you think anybody cares if somebody kidnaps these kids?
True.
Right. Come on. Yeah. All right. So now number 3 is our bland love interest, which is usually, depending on the type of lead we have, is either going to be a poor little rich boy who needs to learn a lesson, or now here's a twist on it. Usually it is a widowed dad who does some kind of job working with his hands. Now, Peter Pan is not a widowed dad, but he is a widowed brother.
He's a brother widow.
He's a brother widow. Yeah, exactly. He's a Brito. And a mechanic, and also a stand-in sheriff and a music teacher.
Right, and a person capable of building an entire house.
And a house builder.
By himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So now this was Jeremy Sumter.
Makes his skin crawl.
Oh my god, I wrote that line down too. Yes.
Like just a mention of a city. Yep. He's like, oh, I don't
Gives
like
him
it.
hives. Gives him hives.
Skin crawl. That's how small town this guy is.
Yep. So what were your thoughts on him? Is he an eligible bachelor? Do you think if you were trapped in this town, would you have made eyes at him?
I mean, listen, as someone whose life was changed by Peter Pan, obviously if I saw him in a small town, I would be charmed. But the character's pretty boring.
Right, the character's not anything.
No.
That actor, like...
Sure.
Like, he's fine. He was fine in this.
He was fine.
There were those two lead actors, I would say, were better than the material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even though they were not, like, I don't know, they were fine.
Yeah.
They were fine.
Yeah.
He was also on Friday Night Lights.
He was a dick on Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
he was.
JD McCoy.
Yeah.
I was like, he came on screen. I was like, oh, it's JD McCoy from Friday Night Lights. I was like, why do I remember that name? Like,
Friday Night Lights had great names. That's why.
It did.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all those, it really
Matt
did.
Smash Williams, yeah.
Tim Riggins.
Like, you remember their first, like Gail Travers, right? You remember their first and last names. That's how it goes. That's good writing right there.
Buddy Garrity.
Garrity.
I'm just going to keep saying names.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Lila Garrity. All right. Number 4 is the montage. Now, here's the thing about montages, is that usually a lot of these kinds of movies use them because they're, as the song in Team America says, it's a easy way to show passage of time, and it's a good way to fill up time. A lot of these movies are straining to make the 90-minute mark. Now, this one was not, and yet we still have like 7 montages.
Truly. And not one. What's funny is that I know there were a bunch of montages. I can't think of a single one. So they weren't good.
No. And they didn't involve Christmas songs, which is what you usually do in these kind of movies.
But Czar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought this whole movie, I was like, are you gonna have Christmas in a Christmas movie?
Yeah. And it feels like, and this is what I had said about Falling for Christmas, is the problem with Christmas movies that are made with a budget is like they have this need to show off. And one of the ways they do that is they have like real songs in their movies.
Yeah.
As opposed to the stock, like public domain bargain basket of tracks of, oh, look, here's a Silent Night done polka style. Great. Use that one.
Right.
Here's a Silent Night done a cappella. Okay, use that one. Instead, these movies are like, oh, hey, we have the original recording of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Can we play it? Like,
right.
And I want to say, like, fuck you to these movies, because it feels like it's, like, rubbing it in your face. And this one doesn't do it with, like, Christmas songs. It's just, like, music that clearly somebody wrote.
Like, what's the band she's obsessed with? Everly?
Is that I don't know what that is. Is that thing?
I don't know.
It felt like iHeartRadio wanted to plug Everly in this movie. Because there was all that stuff. But yeah, the music didn't hit, like, it did feel very disconnected from Christmas in like a weird way.
Yeah, and even the montages were her driving, like, cross country, which I really wanted them to have her drive by map, but they did not. There was the, like, songwriting and teaching the kids. There's like when she's actually doing the recording, and we see all the different people that she's connected with watching. And then the final montage that none of us seem to understand. So
Right. There was just like, okay, I guess everything worked out. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know why or how, but
it's a positive montage.
Yeah.
So now number 5 is the dead parents or dead wife. A common trope in this movie. Now, I guess we give credit because we don't know if we have dead parents, right? She's a foster kid.
Yeah.
Foster system.
But they're foster system, so the good is dead.
We have dead brother.
This is very
and
true.
We have guy who gave her the box, who moved to Canada.
Right.
Who was her foster father.
Right.
Which was such a weirdly specific. What was the box? It was
her tip box, right?
Her tip box.
Yeah.
And every time they said it, I was like,
is that a thing?
Her what box now?
Yeah.
Well, this TVPG, they can go there.
She had a foster father who gave her a tip box that she loved him, but then he had a job opportunity and he moved to Canada. It's just weirdly specific.
Because apparently foster kids, you can't take them out of the country.
Right.
We all learned something.
That's true.
Right, I did learn that, I guess. That's true.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, it was very. So that was kind of instead of a dead parent.
Right, but then we get a lot of dead brother talk.
So much dead brother.
Yeah, lots of dead brother.
Yeah. And he was a music teacher, right? He was.
Well, wasn't it?
I thought he was a musician.
He was a musician who was also the music teacher.
Right, who also had 7 jobs.
Right, that's what happens in this town.
So basically, Peter Pan is like doing his brother in a girl form, right? Like it's very much like you remind me so much of my brother.
Think of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that my wife will come up with.
Yeah, I read a lot of V.C. Andrews. Like it's there. I can't help it. Now, number 6 is our sassy sidekick, which is often my favorite of the 10. Right. I think we have 2. Anybody have a favorite?
Okay. I don't know if I have a favorite, although I loved what the woman from Harmony Springs was doing. I loved everything that she was.
The waitress?
Yeah. Is she the waitress? Yeah, like
Rachel.
Yeah, and she was also the mom of the twins.
Yeah. Carla Jimenez is that actress. This is her second appearance this season on my show. She was also the sassy sidekick in a movie called Steppin' Into the Holiday with Mario Lopez.
Oh,
where
nice.
she also played the kind of, sassy, brassy woman who was mother to a child, who I declared the most annoying child I'd ever seen in a movie, and that child was a dancer. In this case, she is mother to child rappers, who we will get to, but I am just fascinated now that this woman is going to keep following me everywhere and always have a terribly
she was making choices. She was making
choices. Big choices. Bless her.
And I appreciate that. The other one, the friend,
Lila.
Yeah, I was like, we're watching the beginning of this movie, and I was like, this blonde girl wants to fuck her friend so bad.
Did I not say that?
Oh yeah, no argument here. It was so obvious. That actress had an idea. She had an idea.
Okay.
Like, you're so talented. Oh my God. Let me set up.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself because I believe in you.
That actress made the decision. She made the decision that I want to have sex with her, and that's how I'm going to play this role.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to know what else that actress did?
Write the movie.
Yep.
Oh, damn.
She did.
Lauren Swickard, one of the credited screenwriters.
So that's canon.
It's completely. Completely.
Exactly.
That's canon, baby.
Yeah. 100%. Totally into it. I'm there for it. Let's see. Now, number 7, which is exciting because we don't always get it. It's like a lot of these movies, especially this year, have gotten like really soft. So they've kind of moved away from having a villain. Now, a villain is usually either an evil male boss or it is some kind of evil woman. Sometimes she's corporate. Sometimes she's the romantic rival. I don't know. Did you spot an evil woman in this movie?
Yeah, it was Scarlet, right?
Yeah, even
Scarlet.
her name. Her name was evil.
Right, exactly. Even her name. And she was just like the whole time a sourpuss.
Yeah.
And in the bar, like, where are you going? He's like, well, I gotta go. She needs somewhere to stay, and like all that stuff.
I mean, I love a villain, and she was not villain in like she could have been villain in. You know what I mean?
And then she does a really dickish thing that you're like, oh, okay, so are you like you're really mean? But then just like if she's gonna be mean, like have her Cruella de Vil it, you know?
Right, exactly. And it's just like, the whole thing is very like halfway there, and it's like we're supposed to feel bad for her, like, oh, I just always thought we'd end up together, and I was like, what? Because she first shows up, and it's like halfway through the scene, you kind of understand that maybe she likes this guy or thinks that this guy is her territory, but like, I don't know, it just wasn't enough.
Right, and then she convinces Gail Travers to decorate the room that she's staying in, that is like the brother's old room with a bunch of the brother's things, so that then Peter Pan comes in and he's like,
he's upset
and he says, why would you do this, oh brother? And then,
for some reason Gail doesn't say, because Scarlett told me to.
Right.
Yep.
It was just one of those misunderstandings where like the people don't just say the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
I just prefer my movie evil women to be like Parent Trap, Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap levels. You know what I mean? I just want full on like.
You want campy.
Yeah.
Because they do try to make her at some point a little sympathetic of like. Because, I mean, the actress, I think, is kind of playing it very straight. Like, she's playing it as if, I really love this guy. And this woman showed up out of nowhere and clearly it has entranced him. Right. And I'm just sad over here because I really loved him. And here I'm bringing a pie to his mom because I really want to do it. Like, it's like desperate and sad. And there's also like, look, did we see any other men in this town? And we know you can't leave. So on one hand, I kind of get it. Like, yeah, put your stake in that territory because there's not much else there.
Right.
But
there's like the dad and the kids. And then that's it. And then the one mechanic. Exactly.
Yeah. You got to wait for those kids to grow up, and I'm not confident about that.
No.
Exactly. No.
All right, so now number 8 is slapstick, which is often an easy way to, charm the audience in this movie. Not much of it, but there's a few moments. Anything catch your fancy?
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, other than the sassy friend from the town who was like, her kind of face was slapstick.
Yes.
But just...
And the kids were a little slapsticky, but not like
Yeah.
I don't know. What are we not remembering?
No, I mean, the only ones I clocked was like the fact that the whole plot instigates on almost hitting a llama.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Or an alpaca. I'm sorry.
Dead.
An alpaca. Yeah.
Who then they cut to her and she like watches it get up again, like because it plays dead.
Yep.
And then they cut to Gail Travers. And then she just does a reaction shot of watching it get up, and then they cut back and the llama's up because they were clearly like, look, it's going to be another $800 to get this llama to stand. So we're not spending the money.
But they cut to her looking at it getting up, and she's looking at a giraffe, and then the alpaca walks over to her, and it's the same height as she is. It's real weird.
Yeah. She does look all the way up.
She's like,
Right. But yeah, that was also, I think, the moment where I was like, oh, I mean, I didn't have the same concern, obviously, that you had, where you were like, was this one of these bad movies or was this a real movie? But the alpaca scene was definitely a part where I was like, oh, this is pretty bobo. Like, they got an alpaca, but they didn't really... They didn't really get an alpaca. For like an hour.
It's also right where, like, we kind of thought, we're like, this could also go Texas Chainsaw Massacre really quickly at this point, right? Totally. Like, oh yeah, the alpaca just likes to lure people into this town. Like,
right.
To do what with them? Yeah.
Same setup, yeah, exactly.
Let's see, now number 9 is our sage old person. Now,
there's only sage iHeartRadio hosts in this movie.
Now, like, did you know who Amy Brown a thing? Like, I guess, did people know Amy Brown was a thing?
You mean Sissany and Amy, the 2 iHeartRadio hosts that we love in this house? No, we did not know.
I don't know who they are.
But clearly someone does, because they were in the credits. It was as herself.
No, it wasn't. Here's what's funny. It wasn't as herself. It was Amy Brown. You know how sometimes like they do herself? In this case, they did not. Which I found very weird.
Wait, that was what I meant.
No, but it's not what they meant.
Okay.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
She's Amy Brown. She's playing Amy Brown. Mm-hmm. She plays a character every day when she goes to work.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
I mean, I would argue there's another sage elder in this movie.
Yes. I wrote down, oh God, is this meant to be Brooke?
Yeah.
I was like, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, her skin is better than mine, and she's a good 20 years older, but still.
Right.
I would like to say something about Brooke Shields in this film. I actually thought Brooke Shields did a good job with what she was given.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
This is something that I noticed about this film pretty much from the beginning. I noticed you've got money. There is a budget behind this. It looks great. Mm-hmm. They were able to afford to hire a lead who can not only sing but can also play the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you got Brooke Shields, but what they did is they had enough money to hire actors and actresses who were good enough that they could take bad dialogue and not great scenes and not well fleshed out characters and make it almost watchable.
Yeah, totally. It like the production value was enough to fool you into thinking, is this a real movie?
Yeah.
In enough of the scenes, totally.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's exactly like the weird kind of uncanny valley feeling of watching it, of being like, this feels like all the pieces are there of a movie, and yet
indeed.
Yes. I put my head in my hands a lot.
The one I remember, there was a part where we had to get food or something, and like had to go to the bathroom and paused it, and then it was like, I said to you, I was like, how much of this movie do you think is left?
Oh, no.
And
never do that.
It's more.
Yeah.
It's way more. It's over 30 minutes left.
Yeah, we did it on 2 nights. And
Smart.
It wasn't intended. We had planned to do it all in one. And part of it was Lucas sitting down and realizing, look, 1 hour, 15 minutes. But also, I'm so glad we didn't do this in one sitting, because I don't know that I could have made it. It's just not meant to be consumed that way. It should have been a limited series, perhaps.
Right. Yeah.
Now, let's see. Number 10 is Santa Claus, which sadly we do not get any real Santa Claus magic in this movie.
There's no Christmas in your Christmas movie.
There's very little Christmas. Well, but now that moves us into the bonus round, and the first one is the music, which is usually, kind of pulling all of the, like, how many different versions of Deck the Halls, Jingle Bells, and Silent Night do they play? And in this case, very few, because again, ooh, we have money, we're HBO, we can pay for music. We can pay for Feliz Navidad. That's not free.
Right, but then pay for like some more Christmas music, y'all. Like get some Mariah Carey up in there.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing. So there is original music in this movie. Right. And including like the big song that is the the top 40 song, This Is Christmas, this is or Christmas. Hashtag This Is.
This is. Right.
No, there's two things about this song that I think are very exciting to me. One is it basically is the thing that a lot of these movies, a lot of the cheap movies, when they do use original music, there's like this bucket of cheap music that a couple of songwriters must be told every couple of years, oh, hey, if you write a song about Christmas, it's a really easy sell. Great.
Yeah.
What does it have to be about? I don't know, Christmas. Candy canes, icicles, ice skating, reindeer. And that's usually what the songs are. It's just listing things about Christmas. This one basically does that. But do you know who one of the songwriters was?
I guarantee you don't, because I didn't until she told me.
Okay, so you either know or you don't know about this this Oscar-winning actress who a couple of years ago had surgery, and after her surgery suddenly like could write, was obsessed with music and couldn't stop hearing music in her head and became a songwriter. I think she was actually nominated. I think one of her songs was nominated for either Golden Globe or Oscar a couple years ago. She has a famous husband, her famous ex-husband even. She's very tall. Trying to think of other. I just want to give clues. It's more fun to have you guess.
Just say it. They're not going to guess. Just say it.
Say it again. What'd you say, Mike? Who'd you?
Jennifer Garner?
No.
Oh.
No, you are wrong about that. Okay. The one of the songwriters on hashtag This is none other than Mrs. Ted Danson, Mary Steenburgen.
What? Really?
You have to look this up. I'll share the article with you. Yeah, she had surgery a couple years ago and suddenly like had songs in her head and just became a songwriter.
Yeah, oh my god.
She's written like dozens of songs since then, including like a lot that have been in movies. Yeah.
Wait, what did Mary Steenburgen win an Oscar for? That's my
something
question.
in like 1980. Something that I have not seen.
I gotta check it out.
Yes, she is an Oscar winner, but from a year that I was not around for. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I had no idea about any of that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You learn things.
The songs also, our daughter a couple years ago got really into the American Girl website, AmericanGirl.com, where they have all these like little games related to American Girl and stuff like that. And one of them was like, oh, listen to like Kenzie or whatever her name is, help her write a song. It was essentially like a computer-based version of Guitar Hero for these little country songs that like one of the dolls sings. And the songs in this reminded me of like American Girl original country songs. From the computer.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I feel like I do. Even though I did not play with the American Girl website, I think I got it. Yeah.
They're just like songs that just like there's a whole culture, a whole subculture, a whole like universe of music writing that you so rarely that you just encounter sometimes in your Christmas movies or on the American Girl website or whatever.
Yeah. I also love how the other original song that was written, was the kids sing for the gala, and it was like okay, we're gonna write this song. And you know what? I feel like subject matter wise, Oklahoma doesn't have like a super famous song that's about it, so like we should cover that territory. I think.
Right.
Yeah, why has no one ever written a song about this state?
What did you guys learn is like the most important thing about Oklahoma based on this song?
Yeah.
It was like it just pales in like you're gonna be compared to the other song about Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like, it's like writing a song like about that has the lyrics "My Heart Will Go On" or something. And you're like, it's not that other "My Heart Will Go On" song.
Yeah. Like you think of all of like the different Dolly Parton songs of like Christmas in Tennessee, and like they're really specific. They're citing things. What I learned about Oklahoma from this song is that you can fry a lot of food.
Oh my god!
Like it was just a list of different foods that you can fry. And that was the song. And honestly,
it was clearly by someone who's never been to Oklahoma and who never like. They had and who has like a child's understanding of what Oklahoma is, has essentially my understanding of what Oklahoma is. Like there was no like specific exactly what you said. Like it's just I guess
fried turtle. I don't know, fried alpaca.
Right. Look, I have notes.
All right, so now...
No,
you're just thinking about what else you're going to Friday night, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that note, number 2 is our special secret family recipe, aside from fried alpaca. Anything else food-wise that seemed very specific to these characters in this place? You mentioned one earlier.
Special Peter pancakes.
Uh-huh.
Peter pancake.
Which was that was so weird. That scene I really bumped on him, like, going into their trailer, which I was like, wait, they live in a trailer too? And then, and just making them pancakes in the morning. And he makes 1 stack of pancakes.
So too, that bothered me. Yeah.
He makes 1 stack and puts it on a plate and says, here are the pancakes for you, my 2 parents.
I noticed it.
They're little pancakes. They're big pancakes.
Yeah,
maybe he just only had 1 plate, because like it's like that whole tiny living thing. Like you're downsizing as little as you need. Like I don't know. Like they eat at different times, maybe.
Hard way.
Let's see. Now number 3 is our small business in danger, which I don't know that we really
No, they never talk about
music career, maybe.
No, you almost get there with the music class situation where it's like, if they don't win, honestly, I never quite understood what was happening. It's like, if they don't win the gala, then you can't have music class next year. What? What does that mean?
So wait, and at the gala, the oversized check, it was for $5,000. So what is that for? Does that go towards the salary of the teacher that has been allowed to live there? Is that for...
She needed it to get to the iHeartRadio thing for a minute, but then it was like, that wasn't going to go to you. Yeah, I was like, weird. Once the teaching thing happened, I was like, I have no idea what's happening.
Yes. Let's see. Now, number 4 is product placement.
No, can't think of any.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah. Lots of it.
I mean, they must have produced this or something. Like, it's...
Yeah.
Or maybe they're a Warner Media company, or I don't know. It was just like, they're in the tank for iHeartRadio.
Yeah. And Everly, apparently.
And Everly.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yes. Which may or may not actually exist.
Right.
Now,
we're not going to find out today.
Number 5, a fan favorite, The Cloying Child. A lot of these movies, if they have children, a lot of them don't, because again, it's a little expensive to film with kids. It means you have to be careful about your shooting time. But when they have kids, they are usually the most insufferable child actors you have ever met in your life. And I always try to say, like, not blame the child actors. It's the choosing of them and the writing of them and the direction of them. So don't feel bad about making fun of kids. We do it here all the time. There's a few kids in this film.
Yeah. As we said, it's doing a real, like, School of Rock thing with these kids.
Right.
Like, almost verbatim to where I would have sued if I was Mike Waite.
Right, exactly. And, like, I don't know, except somehow these kids have, like, zero charm at all. Like, you've got the main girl who's, like...
Baby Tracy Flick.
The thing I will say about these children is that you've got the 2 girls can turn on those tears, like, boom.
Yeah.
They've been trained.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that little baby Tracy Flick, whose character name was Sarah Hughes, which was an Olympian figure skater for some reason. I'm watching her, I'm like, she looks really familiar, and I looked her up, I'm like, wow, she's like 9. Her IMDb credits are like longer than Mary Steenburgen's. That kid is clearly like child actor from the Get type thing. I haven't seen anything else she was in, but she obviously like knew her mark, knew her lighting. Like she is going to be like playing something with Reese Witherspoon in 20 years, I say.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that and that plot point of like that kid who becomes essentially the stage manager for the band.
Which is exactly verbatim School of Rock.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. And the twins who could rap, I was like,
who would rap in
I was so excited. Because again, when I watched Steppin' Into Holiday and this kid shows up who's like the most insufferable little dancer boy, I remember I turned to you, I'm like, this is the worst child I've ever seen in one of these movies. I hope he is in every scene. And this movie, same thing. These kids showed up And what was like their line was like, we're twins, we rap. I paused it and I looked at Branan just like with the most eager puppy dog eyes of, I mean, how would you describe my emotions versus your emotions at the introduction of those characters?
You were absolutely thrilled. I, at the end, was just thankful. I was like, well, it wasn't as offensive as it could have been.
Yeah, totally.
I wish them long and storied careers. There's also at the very end when it's like I think this was like during the post-credits montage or the credits montage, like, because now I guess the other thing was like, oh, now there's a bunch of kids in the music class. And it pans over and there's all the kids that we've met. And then there's that little girl who gives her an apple and, right?
Oh, yeah, that girl.
The girl who lists, if teachers, like Cindy, full on Cindy Brady directed list.
Yeah.
If teachers were apples, we'd pick you. What?
What?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
What?
And then they bring that line back. It's like, what? Wasn't that good the first time?
No, and this child came from nowhere, too. This wasn't like, it would have made sense if it was, I think, Rosemary, like the girl that, like, did kind of need a little bit of support from another adult figure. But, like, no, this is just, like, some little annoying blonde girl who somebody was like, oh, hey, like, we need another kid. Hey, like, you felt like she was, like, a crew member brought their kid to work that day. Yeah. And the director's like, wait, she can't say her S is? Perfect. I'll take her.
Perfect. Yeah. Also, really quickly about that scene where she gets pushed into becoming the music teacher. Like, he doesn't even tell her what she's doing. He's just like, here, be the music teacher. She's like, what? And then the kids are all like, well, what can you do, lady? And she's like, oh, I'm going to show you my magic. And she sits down at that piano and she's like, I'm going to play some Saints, baby. It's like, what, ma'am? What?
Saints go marching in.
Why did you play when the Saints go marching? What a weird choice!
It's public domain, but again, like
that was so weird. That was one of those weird moments where you're like, so you decided to spend all this money on this other music,
right?
But then you're essentially doing like Camptown races, like at the piano, like it doesn't
cross buns. Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why wouldn't you have, like, she's trying to impress these kids. Why wouldn't you have her go, like, what's your favorite song?
Right.
And then she plays it, and sings it. Like,
what's your favorite song that we don't have to pay for? Yeah.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Now, number 6 is a character with a holiday-themed name. A lot of times we have Hollies and Eves and such, but I don't think there's any Christmas correlation to the name Gail, or Gale, as they often say. Is that a diphthong?
Yeah, it's 2 vowel
Do you say it as... Okay, let me ask you a question. This is a source of contention in our marriage.
Speaking of trouble in our marriage.
Oh.
Gail. How many syllables is that name?
1. Gail.
Yeah, I guess it's 1. I want it to be 2.
Yeah.
I want to side.
Well, actually, no, Gail, I would say with 1 syllable. My wife does not believe in diphthongs.
It's not that I don't believe in them. It's that I was raised without them.
So she does not speak in them.
Or I have to over-enunciate. To me, you can't say them without over-enunciating. I grew up saying museum and rune. And apparently you're supposed to say museum and poem and ruin.
And as I have tried to explain, you do not have to say museum and poem and ruin.
Well, then how can you tell it's 2 syllables?
You simply say ruin, museum, and poem.
You mean ruin, museum, poem.
Speaking
Gail.
of... this is not a therapy Skype session, for the record.
But what you don't know is it actually is. Mike and Liza are certified. I had them do it just for today. This is an intervention for our marriage.
An intervention about diphthongs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We are charging.
Because number 7 is finding the perfect tree. We didn't have a perfect tree, instead we had a perfect diphthong. So
was there any tree?
We didn't have a tree.
There was a shot of tree in the town somewhere.
Oh, like one of those drone shots of
yeah. But like again, Christmas and New Year Christmas movie.
No. Same with like usually there's like the elaborate holiday drinks where somebody's drinking like hot chocolate with a gingerbread house on top, or like a Cosmo that has a complete like candy cane castle in it. Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. And then my favorite is the empty coffee cup acting, which you see in a lot of these movies. Actors who just haven't done enough work in TV to know that, if you're holding a cup, it's supposed to, even if it doesn't have weight, you're supposed to pretend it has weight. But that was the problem. I feel like in this movie they actually filled their cups and gave it to them, because unless everybody in the movie was that good an actor.
I didn't see any of the empty cup acting.
No.
You saw one, right?
Well, I was like, there was the breakfast scene, the famous pancake scene.
Yeah.
And I was like,
that we all love.
Yeah, and I was like, I think there's coffee in those cups, or water at least.
Okay.
Like, I don't know.
There was weight to it.
Yeah.
But there was bad empty box acting when her best friend who's obsessed with her is like holding a box awkwardly on the phone, and like then she just puts her other arm down and is just holding it like with her pinky.
Right.
So.
She's like, these don't weigh anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, she's a writer, so she's not got the practice.
Definitely, yeah, that's it. Let's see now. Actors trying very hard to not actually eat on camera. A lot of times, you might have very food-themed movies, but you don't want to keep resetting the food.
Right.
Nothing distracted me in this one.
Yeah.
Or there's only 3 pancakes, so you can't.
Right, exactly. No, I don't remember that. I mean, that's every movie, though, is like watching actors like, who are obviously so many or so body conscious, like, and
also doing 1,000 takes.
Yep,
exactly. Yes, of course. But just trying to pretend, it's always fun to watch. Stuff. I mean,
it really enhances your viewing of anything once you start to look for it. Like, especially like on TV, like Law and Order, just spend the entire Law and Order episode seeing a character try to avoid eating.
Right. And then the actors like Brad Pitt, who will make sure that they're eating in every scene, which is like really fun to watch.
Yes.
Because he's like, this is like my thing. This is my trick to make it look natural or whatever. And it's like, it works. I don't know.
Yeah.
You have an Oscar and I don't, so what can we say to that?
Yeah, exactly. You and Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah, maybe 2 one day. Let's see now. 11 is our Canadianisms or signs that this was not filmed on location. I meant to look. I don't know where this was actually filmed.
You looked and it didn't say, right?
Then I looked at the actress's Instagram. Smart. And I went back a little to see if there was any on, because I was really curious where they filmed it. And I was in California. It was in Petaluma, California, I think. Or maybe that's just a different tag that you put on there or something. But it looked like it was just filmed like outside LA somewhere.
Okay.
I don't know if Petaluma is actually. But,
makes sense.
Yeah. It definitely didn't seem like, I mean, as you know, you're avid listeners of DVD Deathmatch. I'm like obsessed with figuring out where stuff is shot, and like it's just just makes such a difference, and you can just so tell when something's not shot in either the place where it is or like on a soundstage or whatever, and sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but with something like these movies, they're so place-based. They're so like the small town,
right?
And they keep fucking saying Oklahoma, and it's like, you're not even. And again, all they know is that they fry the food or whatever. It just like was cuckoo to me. That's all.
There was definitely a shot of her like walking. She starts to walk home, or back to her van early on in the small town, and she's like walking down the street in the small town. I'm like, there are like palm trees.
Yeah, you look like
is that an In-N-Out burger over there?
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. And then last is our warm weather watch, which we did go over.
We discussed,
and it is definitely there. Just this idea of mixed climates.
And Oklahoma has to get pretty cold in the winter, right?
We were asking. So Brannan's cousin lived in Oklahoma for a few years, and she said it could be pretty intense swings.
Yeah,
right?
She said it was pretty intense swings, but not within the same scene.
True.
Like everyone sitting together would be experiencing the same temperature.
But Scarlett was the one wearing the winter coat, and Scarlett was very skinny and blonde and sad. And I feel like those things make you more prone to being cold.
Okay.
Oh. Like I'm cheery and brunette and chubby, and I don't get cold very easily. So maybe that's a thing, like different body temperature.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So that's Holiday Harmony. Tell me, overall, do you recommend it? Do you think if this was on your DVD shelf, would you give it away? Would you say no, we're going to keep this and show the kids? Where did you stand on it in the end?
Oof. I have a couple more quick notes about specific things in the movie that I bumped on, if you will. one, you wouldn't need a ring light on a stage. The first scene, she gets up on the stage and the friend is going to try and sneakily film her. You wouldn't need to set up a ring. It's a stage, you're lit, so you don't need a ring. Okay. Great. And then I wrote, man, the acoustics in the doorframe of this trailer in this parking lot are incredible.
Yeah. Like, I would like to record a podcast there, please.
Right, exactly. So there's a scene. So they finally hook up in her trailer. They both sleep on her tiny bed in her trailer for some reason. And then the next morning, he finds her notebook, and there's like a list of pros and cons about leaving or staying. At the bottom it says Jeremy so dreamy, whatever. And he like smiles and he's like, "Oh my God, me?" And I'm like, "Bruh, she just slept with you." I think that she likes you. Like,
had you not quite figured out yet that she might be into you?
Right.
Like, that's not a reveal, y'all. What's
By
happening?
allowing you to place your penis inside her.
I mean, we don't see the placement. We don't, like, we're led to believe that they had sex, but we don't know. Maybe they just cuddled. Maybe one of them just pleasured the other, and the other one was like, "Thank you, I'm gonna go to sleep now." We don't know the details. It's TVPG.
Okay.
Just saying.
It's true. And then my last note is, no way she's playing with those nails. The part where she goes to, her dreams are coming true. They put a wig on her. They put her in a short dress. They put ridiculously long nails on her. And she gets up on a stage and plays the guitar. And I'm like,
but wasn't she having trouble playing the guitar with them? Wasn't that part of it?
Like visually she was, but auditorily it was great. So it was flawless. And I was like,
No.
But in conclusion, I'm going to say no, I would not recommend this film.
Yeah, like, I know we got off pretty easy with the production value here, but I still didn't, I didn't connect with it. But I will say, I did like the lead actress.
Yeah.
I thought she was good.
Brooke Shields was great. He was great.
Peter Pan was great.
Even the kids were, like, fine. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like if they had gone in either direction of, like, fully camp, fully obnoxious, fully, like even, think about how funny it would have been if they had, like, acknowledged some of the tropes, like one of them wearing a winter coat and being like, does it get cold in Oklahoma? Like, and that would be so funny, like, addressing that. Or more money thrown at it so that you have the big, insane Christmas number. Either direction would have been great, but we're stuck in this middle ground of kind of like mediocrity.
Yeah, very uncanny valley to watch. I mean, I just don't have a ton. I don't mean to be like, I only watch good movies. I do not. But I don't have a ton of exposure to this genre, so it felt very like this was a weird one, kind of. Like, I'd be curious. Not that I'm gonna do this, but I'd be curious if you could recommend one Christmas movie in this Hallmarky Christmas movie that just like isn't even the best one, but that exemplifies all the trope, like is like the perfect one to kind of symbolize the entire genre. What would you pick?
So I would say I would almost want to go like 3 different routes, because the ones that jump to mind that perfectly represent the tropes versus the ones that are in this world that are absolutely pulling most of them, but that are actually good, right? So if you wanted the epitome of these movies, I would say, it's the Candace Cameron one where she goes to Alaska and she's a doctor, and Christmas Undercover, I think it's that.
10 minutes later, I figured it out. Christmas Under Wraps. Not a good movie, but that is the title, Christmas Under Wraps.
That's the one that like kind of started me on this in a way, because watching that movie was so fascinating to realize, like, in the next scene, she's going to find out that this guy's Santa Claus, right? And we find out he's Santa Claus. Like, every beat of it was so fitting and kind of like shaped these tropes in many ways. So that's kind of the one that I would probably say, like, that's sort of the one that encompasses it. But the problem is that that's not a good one. There's a few that I would recommend that are actually good movies. Naughty or Nice with Hilary Burton is just pure Christmas movie, except she's really funny. It's got a sharp script. It doesn't just stick to these things. And Santa Claus is real, which is always an important thing to me. It just makes it so much more entertaining when that's the case. Holly's Holiday is about a woman who, a mannequin ends up coming to life and being her boyfriend. But then it's pure Christmas movie, but yet it's very funny and very weird. There is one that might even make you cry. There's one called The 12 Dates of Christmas with Zach Morris, whatever that actor's name is, Mark Paul Gosselaar. Yeah. And Amy Smart. And it's a Groundhog Day thing. It's she's waking up every day and reliving the same day. But along the way, she falls in love with Mark Paul. But it's actually, again, like, it's hitting all these things. She's a career woman and then realizes maybe I don't want to be a career woman. But yet within it, like, sometimes and a lot of times what I've noticed, it comes down to the actors. If you have the right actors that can still bring something, it can be a watchable, good movie. And in that case, these are two, like, real actors who have chemistry and it works. And then I'll throw one more at you, which we covered this year, for the other side of it. Because I know, Mike, you were asking for more Christmas horror movies. There is one that came out 2 years ago. It came out in 2020 called Letters to Satan Claus.
Oh, boy.
It is, and right now it's available via, like, the Sci-Fi Channel. So if you have any form of cable app, you can watch it. And it's rentable on, I think, Fubo or one of those things. And it is it's a parody, but it is played completely in this. And it is hysterical. I mean, you heard me laughing at it. I think I, like, made you come in and watch some of it because it really, like, just takes all of the tropes and then just does it sideways.
I love this. Yeah. Letters to Satan Claus.
Letters to Satan Claus. I guarantee. Sadly, it is not on DVD. Several people and I have all been trying to find it because we're like, I want to own this. I want to watch it every year. But it is not. It has not had a release. So, yeah. But if we find it, then you should add it to your DVD collection.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, it was a weird one to watch. And also, as we said at the beginning, so long. Like, I feel like you're asking way too much.
No, I am sorry. I am mad. When that running time came on, I was like, shit, is it too late to call them and say, like, guys, let's do a 90-minute one? Because that offended me. I was so
I mean, you're asking too much. I mean, like, the filmmakers, it's like, there's only so much you can,
There's a reason why every one of these movies is an hour 30. And it's not just because they're made for cable, because a lot of them aren't. Even the Netflix ones are 90 minutes. They understand that this is not something you need to be on any longer. Now,
it's a social contract of it.
Exactly. So a no for you guys. How about you, my love?
No.
Yeah, I would say I'll throw out, I guess, if you were curious to see the Nomadland version of a Christmas movie, this is it.
Very strange.
Yeah, and it is, for me, it was interesting to see a Christmas movie like this as a real movie, but also incredibly disappointing because it's like more and more I find I like the cheaper ones. Hallmark isn't even fun anymore because there's something about them that's very polished. And the scrappier ones are just more entertaining because you can feel like them cramming the filming in. And this one felt sprawling, but not in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly like how it felt. It's like, I want to see, if I'm going to watch one of these, I want to see like the real shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like the real, like,
I want people drinking fancy hot cocoa, but not actually drinking it. Damn it. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, and I don't want this like kind of like mason jar version of it. No, I don't know. It was very.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right. So, where can the people find DVD Deathmatch and your upcoming episode on the special edition Blu-ray release of Holiday Harmony?
Well, listen, we're DVD Deathmatch in all the places. We got the Insta, we got the Twitter, we got the Gmail, we got the World Wide Web.
Yeah, it's DVD Deathmatch. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple, and it's fun. We just did an episode about a Charlie Brown Christmas and Boogie Nights. No, we just did an episode about something else. It was
Bad Santa and Charlie Brown Christmas.
And Charlie Brown Christmas, that's right.
That's what it was.
And then our next episode is going to be The Object of My Affection versus In Bruges.
In Bruges.
Right.
Yes.
So that'll be fun, and it's really fun. It's a fun little thing, and also you could just catch up from the beginning.
It's true.
It's been going on for years now.
Yeah,
it's very goofy.
We just posted episode 87, so it's a lot of episodes.
Exactly. And I can personally testify that it is a delightful listen.
Agreed.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Each and every week. I know you are dear friends of mine, and I love you both very much, but I still find your podcast entertaining. So,
we love you too.
Admittedly, I am not an unbiased opinion, but I still like it.
I enjoy it deeply. It's a wonderful time. And again, I always love, because there's obviously like millions of movie podcasts out there. And it's, not just the hook of like, oh, different types of movies, but it's just you are two people who are doing a podcast who are different from a lot of other people doing podcasts. And I think having a married couple who are parents who have different views on some things just from that, and are also cool, funny, interesting, smart people who talk about a variety of things in such a way that sometimes I won't know the movie and I'll listen anyway and have a good time. So I recommend.
Oh my God, cry. That was so sweet.
Well, it's Christmas and all. If you can't be honest, then when can you be? So on that note, I guess we'll all cram into which one are we taking, the van or are we taking the mobile home for our pancake breakfast? Hashtag van.
Yeah, we gotta
hashtag
go.
This is hashtag van life. And we're out of here.
Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat can sure smell sweet when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oklahoma, every night, my honey lamb and I sit alone and talk and watch a hawk making lazy circles in the sky. We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand. And when we say go, we're only saying you're doing fine, Oklahoma, Oklahoma.